Alright, welcome back. Luke's internet dropped out, so I'm gonna take you through this stream, through this race as well. I hope he joins back. Now he has to do with me now, so good luck. All people have done their first laps, with Poland topping the timesheet with a 24.8. With Wesley close behind with 24.8 as well. So, Thomas following behind, and then Josh, Lewis, Axel Ryan, J Ghost, Daniel, Chinetsky, extra rotation, Baraka, Mr. Pop, and Lewis, Toxic Tomato, and Boan Paul haven't set a time yet. So let's see who's close on there. Starting a lap. I think it's Lewis. Yes. Well, hop on board with Lewis now. Let's see what he can do with his first run. I mean his second run actually. Coming up to turn 1 now. Hard in the braking zone. And then now into turn 2 and going into turn 3 now. Oh, what a nice save from Lewis there. Just kept it on track. Let's go on board with Boan Paul, I think. Yes. Now it's sector 2. Hard in the braking zone now. Good exit here. Good job. You've done that nicely. And going on the straight now. Into third gear even, jeez. 4 and to 6 and 7th. Don't touch the inside curb here. And here is Luke again. Hello, man.
Hello, yeah, apologies for that. I think it might be time to bite the bullet and give the internet company a ring and tell them to get things sorted out, or words to that effect. But it's interesting how it doesn't look like Josh is having it all his own way this afternoon. Normally he's been really good in qualifying. At the moment he's actually bowling the fastest, Westy second, and Thomas, we said he'd be quick on his debut, he's in third, but it's still incredibly close between those top 4 at the moment.
Yeah, from what I know from bowling, I know he's on the path, and I don't want to say something, but Pat has a bit of an advantage here, as you can see. Daniel as well. I don't know, he's on pad, he's both. He can do on wheel and pad, Daniel, so I don't know what he's doing at the moment.
Well,
but yeah, good
I
lap.
definitely prefer the wheel, to be honest. He's just more consistent on that, I think, than you are on a pad, obviously. It's Westy, he's just about to start another lap, see if he can get himself up back towards pole position. Being now just coming to turns 3 and 4 there on the one down now, actually, towards turn 4. DRS opening, it is very powerful around this circuit. 3 DRS zones, 1 on the main straight, 1 on that straight, and then another 1 on the straight from turns 10 to 11. Keeping it nice and tidy at the moment on the way down to the hairpin at turn 8. Very easy to get it wrong there. We're running a tiny bit wide. One of the trickiest corners on the track now. It turns 9 and 10. You have to brake and turn at the same time, so if you're not using anti-lock brakes, it is extremely tricky to get it right through that corner. He now heads down the back straight, DRS open once again on the Haas, down through turn 11, keeps it nice and clean so far. We'll see how he's doing at this second sector point, whether he's going any quicker than he was on his previous run. He's just ran slightly wide and invalidated his lap, and that's going to be crucial around here, people getting a clean lap. You see, with 6 minutes to go, still got 4 drivers yet to set a lap time as Thomas goes fastest.
Great lap.
Yeah, great lap. Big improvement for him of about quarter of a second as well. So Thomas has gone fastest. Westy we've seen invalidated. Boland's coming towards the finish line now. And he goes slightly faster than his previous best, but can't match what his teammates done. So he's looking good for the Alpha Tauri boys. 1-2 at this moment in time. Still yet to see what Toxic Tomato can do. We know he's an incredibly quick driver, did well in a few of the pre-season races. It'll be interesting to see if he can finally get his first points of the season this afternoon.
As extra rotation goes up to P9, just with a slight improvement, moving out of one position.
Yeah, just a slight improvement from him. Barakakap in 11 at the moment. He's just re-enjoying the session. He's gone for the medium tyres so far, which is interesting. So we'll have to see whether he sticks. Now
coming the penultimate corner now. See what he can do.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do. So Gomes just coming around this penultimate corner now. Doesn't look like he's on for improving at the moment. So we'll have to see if he heads towards. Yeah, decides to go towards the pit lane. So 6th place at the moment. That's an improvement from him compared to how he did last week. Lewis is 7th at the moment. He's just on his out lap. We've got coming towards the end of a lap. Toxic Tomato in the 2nd sector at this moment in time. So we'll see if he can go. Well, we know it's going to be a personal best. We'll just see if he can slot into the 1 minute 24s maybe. Along with a few of these other drivers. Keeps it nice and clean through there. It's very easy to spin.
His teammate's
his teammate slowing down just to give him a nice little tow down the straight, but hopefully Lewis moves off the racing line, and indeed he does, because that could have easily backfired for the Mercedes boys. But it's good to see they've got good teamwork going together. As now Toxic heads towards the finish line in the Mercedes. Is this going to be good enough for provisional Powell? Indeed it is, a 1:24.481. Very good lap from him, and very good teamwork from the Mercedes team.
And they're doing a slipstream again, but then for Lewis now.
Yeah, Lewis just getting the slipstream, which is extremely helpful, although you'd be hoping that Toxic gets out of the way soon, otherwise he's going to suffer a bit with the dirty air around here. You can see they're just hopping over the curb, so Toxic getting well out of the way, just cutting the corner slightly to make sure he can give him the slipstream slightly later on, but he might just be disturbed with the aerodynamics at the moment. So this is interesting teamwork. It seems to be going well for the moment. It's got Toxic on to pole position at this moment in time, but Lewis very deep into turn 10. Probably ruined any chance he had of matching his teammate. He's yet to set a lap time. Only person not to do a lap yet, and it is incredibly close at the moment. Top 10 drivers separated by 0.8 of a second.
Exactly, really close.
Yeah, it's getting close indeed. We'll see what Lewis can do then. He's got 3 minutes to go, so this could well be his final lap unless he's got any extra fuel left in that Mercedes. Likewise, maybe for Toxic Tomato as well, so it'll be interesting to see if he's fueled up to maybe have another run. Lewis now heading towards the finish line. Is this going to be good enough to get him into the top 10? No, it's not. Moves him up into 13th though, just Janetsky and Belakakap behind, but judging by the pace they showed last week, you would expect them to maybe move up the order. Mr. Pop going around the final corner, and he's just diving into the pit style, so they'll have enough time to head out maybe and get one more run. As Daniel,
yes,
he's coming around the final corner. We've not seen him actually at all so far this season, so what can Daniel do in the Alfa Romeo? Heads towards the finish line. Good lap from him, moves him ahead of Bowling into 3rd place, but it's a surprise to still see Josh down in 7th place at the moment, given how quick he's been in qualifying so far this season.
Exactly. So fast time's dropping here.
Yeah, we've got some incredibly quick drivers indeed. Anything around below 124 is a very respectable lap time, so it was interesting to see if Toxic, Thomas, Daniel Bowling, Westy, Warren Powell we haven't really spoke about. He's 6th at the moment. Goes setting a good lap. Lewis, who we expected to be JR Lewis, who we expected to be really quick this time around, he's currently down in 10th position, so interesting to see how he does. It looks like Bavakakap invalidated his last lap, so may well be qualifying over for the reserve in the racing point, but at least he'll get fresh tyres from starting outside of the top 10, and that sometimes can work pretty well for the drivers starting lower down the grid.
As extra rotation is now just beginning his lap, coming up to turn 4 now.
On his way down to turn 12 in the Williams, he's got points in both races so far this season, and that's given Williams a pretty nice lead at the moment in the Constructors' Championship, doing fairly well thanks to Josh obviously with his 2 wins, but Williams at the moment are 15 points ahead of Haas, and with both the Williams drivers being here tonight and only Westy being there for Haas, it is a good chance to maybe extend that margin ever so slightly. This is going to be the final lap he gets a chance to do. We won't have enough ERS tyres or fuel left to really do another lap. As you can see, Daniel's happy with his third position at the moment, and I think it is going to be Extra Rotation who will be the first person, I think, to come across the line to finish qualifying, because he won't have enough left to do another lap. So see how he's doing as he gets up to that second sector point. It is a slight improvement, quarter of a second, so that could get him to challenge XL Lion for 11th. He's going to need a mighty final sector though to get himself up towards the top of the timing sheet, so we'll have to see what Extra Rotation can do around the final corner. Where is this going to put the Williams driver? Is he going to be anywhere near the top of the charts? No, he does move just ahead of Ryan then into 11th place for now. Mr. Pop's just got enough time to start his lap. War on Powell might be a bit of a timing glitch here, because you know what the F1 game's like. He should be fine actually to start his lap, but we'll see if any of these others might have left it a bit late, judging by Toxic and Josh could have run out of time here.
Yeah, so the time was on, like, done. The quality was done, but Ghost still crossed the line. So he was still able to do his lap. Same with Tomato and Josh.
Yeah, so they're still able to get their laps. So Josh will be the last person. We'll see. We've got
Thomas now.
Thomas. He's made a slight improvement. We've just seen some different times coming here. Westy's in 5th at the moment. Janetsky, he's managed to get up into 11th, so he'll have fresh tyre choice. We'll see what the Renault driver can do. As Thomas, first race of the season, just 12,000th off pole position at the moment, incredibly close. And Bowling's invalidated, so he won't be able to improve. J.R. Lewis has gone off, so he won't be able to improve either.
Oh, now Wesley come onto the line. Let's see what he can do. Just a slight improvement, 24.762 into P5.
Slight improvement keeps him in 5th place. Borman Powell, he's gone way wide as well, actually, just coming through the final couple of corners, so he won't be able to improve. It's really only, I think it's only going to be, as Mr. Pop goes into 7th, it's only Josh and Thomas who are still on a clean lap, I think, at this moment in time, and Josh really does need to find a huge improvement to move up.
So close. Jesus. From P6 to P9, but still has Josh to come within a 10th. That's really close.
Yes, incredibly close at the moment. Can Toxic Tomato they move up? Indeed he can. 124.3, fastest of the session as Josh comes across the line. He moved up at the end. Didn't quite see where to, actually.
I didn't see.
3rd place, so very, very good last lap from Josh. Great lap from Josh there to get 3rd. Here's the qualifying order then, and it's the first time we've not seen Josh on pole position. It is Toxic Tomato on pole. Thomas is 2nd. Josh in 3rd at this moment in time. Daniel with a good lap to get 4th. Bowling 5th. Westy 6th. Bourne Powell is 7th. Ghost in 8th. Pop 9th. J.R. Lewis making it 2 Red Bulls in the top 10. Janetsky will have free choice of tyres from 11th position. Extra Rotation is 12th. XLI in 13th. Lewis 14th. And Baraka Cap way down in 15th place. And as you said, McCrew, very close qualifying session, especially in the midfield.
Especially, yeah. As you saw, like 3 or 4 people in the 24.9s. And then Toxic Tomato just taking a huge gap between them. Just 24.3 is really fast.
Yeah, his 2 fastest laps would have been good enough for pole position in the end. So now they're just getting all the setups ready. Let's not forget, top 10 won't have to, well, top 10 do have to start on the soft tyres that they've qualified on, so it's a free tyre choice for everyone else. Maybe a chance for drivers like Barakakap and Janetsky, who we know did fairly well last week. Maybe a chance for them to start on a harder set of tyres and go for a slightly different strategy, because there is always the possibility that you might get a safety car and that's going to blow everyone's strategies completely out of the window.
Yeah, exactly. Anything can happen with safety cars as well.
Yeah, anything can happen, and Mubby Walker said anything can happen in Formula 1, and it usually does, so I'm sure there'll be some fascinating action as we go on today then. Any predictions for who you think's going to win?
I'm gonna predict Toxic Tomato's gonna win with Josh in P2, and I think it's gonna be Daniel in P3. Just a little surprise.
Well, I just feel like Thomas. I've seen him before, and I know he's pretty good in qualifying. He must be to get into second, but he seems to be even better in the race. So it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up taking the win. I think any one of those top like 5 or 6 drivers could end up getting a victory. I know Westy, he'll definitely be wanting another podium despite only being 6th on the grid. J.R. Lewis, we're expecting him maybe to do slightly better, but he's down in 10th. He might find it difficult. Janetsky and Barakakap, we'll see how far they can come up the field as well.
Don't count out Joe Coast. Don't count out J Coast and Mr. Pop and J.R. Lewis, of course, and Janetsky as well, all fast drivers.
Yeah, there is a lot of fast drivers here, and obviously those outside the top 10, as I mentioned, starting on different tyres. So 11th to 14th on the mediums, and Barakakap on the hard tyres. So they'll just be hoping for a decent start to this race, and they'll be hoping that they can just hang on to the back of all those on the softs and wait for their tyres to become a slightly bit better. You don't want to get stuck behind these in the first couple. So McCrew's going for Toxic Tomato to win. I'm going for Thomas. If it is anyone outside of the top 2, then we must be getting on for a fantastic race. There is a lot of action. You can also check out Division 3. That is live at this moment in time as well. And at 4:15 UK time, so 5:15 Central European Summer time, there will be the Division 2 action. But who's going to take the victory here? Toxic Tomato will be leading from pole position, leading us away the first time all season that Josh hasn't got a pole position. He's won both races so far, but the championship leader is starting in 3rd position. This is going to be an incredibly close race, I think. It's
going to be incredibly close. This track is well known about this what's it called, DRS trains, so it's going to be incredibly close.
Yeah, there will definitely be a lot of DRS trains as we are just waiting now for all the cars to get into their grid slots. The lights are coming on here in Bahrain. We've got 5 lights, and I think we've had a glitch on my
they're out now.
We're underway then. So they are underway there. That was weird, I heard the sound, but there was no cars moving. It's been a decent start though from Toxic Tomato. Thomas is going to try and go down the inside. Needs to be careful that he doesn't get squeezed, because now Josh has managed to go all the way around the outside at turn 2. So good start then from Josh, already getting ahead of Thomas. Bolin's also got ahead of Daniel as well. We've got yellow flags in the background. That is Excel Ryan, who's had a spin I think early on, but managing to get away. Couldn't see any damage on him. Toxic Tomato though, ideal start for him in the lead. Josh second, both Alpha Tauris having a decent start to this race, as well as Brawl and Pole tries to send one down the inside of Daniel. Just about gets away with that. He's already got ahead of Westy on this first lap, but an ideal start for Toxic Tomato then, and Thomas looked as though he was going to challenge Toxic for the lead. In the end, dropped behind Josh for 2nd position, and that could be crucial in this race, because you really do want to get track position so you don't overheat your tyres behind another car.
Exactly. As you can see, Lewis made up 4 positions from the start, most of all of them, so he did pretty well.
Yeah, great start to the race then from Lewis. That extra rotation, he's actually managing to get ahead of J.R. Lewis, who seems to be really struggling at this early point in the race. So I do wonder, yeah, J.R. Lewis does have some front wing damage. I've just seen it on the Red Bull, so maybe he'll be coming into the pits. As Janetsky, he's dropped a long way down the order. I think he's also got some front wing damage, so maybe both of them coming into the pits early on. We'll have to see. Not ideal for Janetsky, especially as he was hoping to go a long time on those medium tyres. But it's Toxic Tomato leading still from Josh and Thomas. Further back, Ball and Pole still trying to get ahead of Daniel. Mr. Pop looking very racy at the moment, but no DRS obviously until next time around as Pop's, yeah, he's gone for it down the inside. Nearly gets his nose chopped off there by Westy, who was a long way back from Mr. Pop, and thankfully for both of them they've got away with that. Ghost wasn't able to take advantage. It's going to be crucial for Toxic Tomato maybe though that he gets a second ahead of Josh, because obviously everyone behind him at the moment down to Lewis is going to get DRS.
Yeah, exactly. As Toxic Tomato is trying to get a gap between him, Josh and Thomas as well.
Yeah, he's trying to build that gap. Thomas just hovering around that 1 second. First time they'll be able to use it He's on the straight out coming out of turns 2 and 3, so we're able to see Mr. Pop have a go at Westy, so that'll be the first time they get to use it, but they're looking fairly spaced out. You'd imagine everyone's going to be safe on this lap at this moment in time. Janetsky and JR Lewis have come out after their pit stop, both on the medium tyres, so they are both obviously going to have to stop again. Won't be able to get those till the end. Josh, fastest lap of the race so far, 1:28.959. He's going to be determined to close up then as the DRS gets enabled, as Mr. Pop again looking very close to Westy at this early stage of the race. He's looking very racy as if he wants to maybe get ahead, feeling as though he's faster as extra line and extra rotation going side by side.
And Ryan comes on top of that battle.
Yeah, Ryan's just come on top of that for now, so has there been any moves further up the field? But because obviously they've all got DRS, they've all staying very spaced out at this moment in time. Way down at the back of the field, JR Lewis and Janetsky are battling. Oh, there's a bit of rubbing between the two of them. Could have easily lost the front wing or ended up in an even bigger crash, but Lewis has actually managed to get ahead of Janetsky for now, but the Renault will have DRS. No, we actually know Red Bull's got DRS. He's tried the switchback. The Renault's got the inside line though. Is the Red Bull able to go all the way around the outside? I think he's just about going to manage it. Good move there from Lewis to get that position back.
Josh closing up to Toxic Tomato, but he has to use a lot of DRS for that compared to Toxic Tomato.
It's all about obviously saving your ERS, maybe just to defend or to help with the DRS to attack in these early stages as well. But Josh definitely a lot closer this lap around than he is to Toxic Tomato. Not bothering to go into overtake just yet. Neither of them are actually at this moment in time, as I saw some cars weaving in the background. Not quite sure who was trying to break for slipstream, but is Josh going to be close enough here? Toxic's had a big slide coming out of turn 3, and maybe this is just going to be a challenge Josh needs. Toxic Tomatoes having to go defensive. Josh, can he make it all the way around the outside at turn 4? There's a bit of banging between them. He's just going to find himself getting run out of road there. Toxic was ahead, that's his right, and Josh just settles for now. But obviously the more these battle, you can already see it's giving a chance for Thomas to catch back up again.
You lose so much time if you battle on this track to the car behind.
Yeah, you will be losing a lot of time. Westy might find himself losing some time because it's actually gone up to over a second, that gap at the moment, which is definitely not ideal for him. As further back we've got Lewis looking all over the back of Ghost, and Mercedes is going to have DRS, so one Mercedes is defending, the other one's trying to attack, but it's very difficult on that final DRS straight. You can't really make an overtake into turn 11 unless you're pretty far alongside on your way into the corner. As Bowling's gone round.
Oh, Bowling. Oh no. He spun out of, what turn is that? Turn 14, I think.
Coming out. Yeah, I think it's turn 13, turn 14. It's that curb on the inside that everyone has hit at some point in their F1 career. Everyone's hit it and everyone's spun around, and I think Bowling, especially now that the tyres are beginning to get a bit more worn, has just been caught out from that. Thankfully, no damage done, but he is down into 10th as we're seeing Ghost into the pits. Very early pit stop for him.
There's Bo and Paul just got past Daniel there on the straight using his DRS and his ERS.
Yeah, Bo and Paul now getting ahead of Daniel. Daniel obviously probably wouldn't have had DRS that time around because he was just behind Bowling. Daniel though trying to fight back. Down the inside he goes into turn 4 and gets that position back. But you can see this just allowed the front three to get ahead as Westy and Mr. Pop XL are battling side by side. Who's going to get ahead? Westy just hanging on for now, but Mr. Pop's going to be on the inside for the hairpin. Westy, to be fair, gives him space, but I think he'll have the inside for the next corner. So these two seem to have been battling all race long, but you can see the top 3 just getting away at this moment in time. Josh with a lot less ERS, like you said though, than Toxic Tomato, so that might just cost him any chance of getting an overtake into turn 1.
Yeah, Tomato's really consistent on his ERS, I saw, and Josh just like using it all to stay close to Toxic Tomato. Same with Thomas, also really good on his ERS management compared to Josh.
Yes, this shows how hard Josh must be pushing then, because when you consider Toxic Tomato doesn't have DRS, he's using a lot less ERS, he's doing a very good job to really be keeping Josh behind him as comfortably as he is, because you can see down the straight, Josh is pretty much going to nearly run out of ERS halfway down. Thomas not close enough to have a go at Josh. I don't think Josh is going to be close enough to have a go at Toxic Tomato here into turn 1. Mr. Pop XL now
Popping the pits.
coming into the pits.
Oh, someone spawned.
Another. Yeah, that's Ghosts.
The Ghost. Just on his fresh tires. Still really cold, I think.
Yeah, I think just caught out by the cold, hard tyres. So he'd have been hoping maybe to go towards the end on those, and seems to be really sliding on them at the moment. Needs to get a bit of heat into them quickly, otherwise this could be a very long race for him. Daniel now actually pulled away a tiny bit from Ball Powell on that last lap. Lewis, he could be interesting because he's the leading car on the medium tyres at this moment in time.
Exactly.
Bowling, he's trying to recover. Oh, another yellow flag, and that is Ghost out of the session.
He done it in the pits.
Oh, he's just retired in the pits.
Not the best idea from my end, but anything can still happen with the safety car.
Yeah, I don't see why you don't just carry on, because you never know if you might get something from this race. But there's one Red Bull out and the other Red Bull in last position at this moment in time. Josh, again, he looks a tiny bit closer to Toxic Tomato, but again, he's got no ERS to really fight with down this straight. As Toxic in the cleaner airs, they've got a good run through that final corner. Josh will close up ever so slightly with the DRS open, but you can see he can't really afford to go into overtake because he hasn't got any electrical energy to fight with, so maybe just needs to spend a couple of laps saving that and maybe having to go after the pit stop or going for the undercut, because I'm sure a few of these guys will be thinking of pitting soon, as we've now got Westy and Bowling into the pits.
Exactly, yes. They're all going on the hards, you see. As Mr. Pop, I didn't even notice, he went on the softs.
Right, so he's definitely going for the two-stop strategy then. So the undercut, you can see it's worked. He's got ahead of Westy, and he's got a bit of free air up to Baraka Cap ahead of him. So this, we'll be interested to see how this works. He's clearly going for the two-stop. He'll be flying around on the softs and then going for the mediums in the final stint. Definitely thinks it's worth a try to go for something different.
As Lewis and Janetsky are fighting again.
Yeah, Joe Lewis and Janetsky have been pretty much fighting ever since they made that pit stop on lap 1. They might not be for any points at this moment in time, but they are definitely enjoying themselves. As you can see here now, Janetsky's going to get ahead of J.R. Lewis here down the inside, and that is a nice move from him.
But Janetsky coming back.
Yeah, Janetsky is able to hold back, and we saw that with Hamilton and Rosberg as he's just gone slightly deep there. Hamilton and Rosberg in 2014, you are able to fight side by side through those corners, as I think Toxic Tomato is heading into the pits, as is Josh, so that's going to make Thomas the new leader of the race.
Exactly. And Toxic Tomato's going on the hards. Let's see what Josh does. I think he will go on the hards as well. Yes.
Yeah, Josh on the hards as well. Will they come out in free air? Toxic Tomato is still ahead. Bois Powell also came in as well, so we'll see as Mr. Pop, unsurprisingly, on the soft tyres, fastest man of everyone, and he's been able to jump Bois Powell, so this could be interesting now for Pop XL, because he's got to try and get past Josh and Toxic Tomato, obviously, to make this two-stop strategy work.
And you're within the second of Josh, so he can keep getting in his DRS.
Yeah, and Josh actually lost a bit of time there as we see extra rotation picking up I think it's the first penalty we've seen for multiple warnings. Josh has now dropped outside of DRS of Toxic Tomato, so we'll see how he does now in free air. Now that he hasn't got that DRS, how will he be able to cope? Because it looked as though he was struggling with his DRS, well, with his ERS usage, sorry, to just manage to keep in contact as Janetsky and Lewis still battling. I think they'll be doing this until the end of the race at this rate, and now Janetsky's just about managed to get ahead. We've still got a few drivers that haven't pitted, those that started on the mediums, Baraka Cap on the hards. Thomas is coming in then at the end of lap 8, and Daniel is as well. Will either of these drivers go for the mediums? I think it's probably still a lap or two early for that, so I imagine they'll all be going onto the hard tyres, but that does promote Lewis in the Mercedes into the lead of this race, and it will be another couple of laps until he pits. And actually, Thomas has gone for the medium tyres. Interesting.
That's how you call it again. There's a specific word for that. A gamble. That's a big gamble you took there.
It is a gamble. it is a gamble because he's got quite a while to actually go on them tyres. Comes out just behind Mr. Pop XL. So is this a two-stop strategy and a soft tyre at the end, or will he be able to stretch these tyres? Well, I'll have to say how he does. A lot could depend on how hard he pushes early on. If he goes absolutely flying around this track, and that suggests he's going for the two-stop strategy. So Lewis, XL Lion, extra rotation, and Baraka Cap yet to pit. Probably another. Well, I imagine for these guys it's to try and go on as long as possible and see if you can maybe get onto the hard. Well, get onto the soft tyres at the end as Brabham Powell and Daniel are battling, and Brabham Powell's just ahead of Daniel at this moment in time, but Daniel's gone down the inside into turn 10 and he's going to get DRS, and Westy might be able to have a go at the Ferrari as well.
Really
These guys
close.
have dropped back ever so slightly from Thomas, Mr. Pop and Josh, who has caught up ever so slightly to Toxic Tomato at the moment, but could really start finding himself under pressure soon.
Yeah, exactly. As Josh is on, Mr. Pop is on the back of Josh at the moment. I think Josh shouldn't find this one.
Yeah, and you see Josh is having to goes defensive slightly earlier, as I think there might have been contact with Janetsky and JR Lewis further back, but Mr. Pop trying to go round the outside into turn 1. He's very late on the brakes. Josh is still there, but he's going to have to give up the inside line for the next corner, but that of course means he's got DRS now down this next straight. So is Josh able to fight back? Mr. Pop leaves the inside line open, which I find quite surprising. He obviously thinks he can hold it all the way around the outside, but this is going to be incredibly hard for him to still come out ahead here. I think Josh, he's just gone ever so slightly over the curb. He's going to break extremely late into the hairpin. They're still battling, and if there's any mistake here, Thomas will be in a great position, and they're still going side by side here. I think JR Lewis has got off as well, and now Mr. Pop still side by side. He's got DRS again. Somehow Josh has held off that fight. Incredible defending, although he might have to go defensive again on the run down to turn 11. Just about saving that place. Lewis has now retired in the pit, so that's both Red Bulls out. And Thomas,
look at
can he
Thomas.
go all the way around the outside of Josh?
Oh.
And no, Josh has spun.
And Baraka as well. I saw.
Yeah, so but I think Baraka Caps had a spin as well. Josh spinning as well. I think it's just pretty clear. 3 into 1. When it was getting that close together, it was looking like someone was going to have an accident, as we've seen Lewis has actually come into the pits and got rid of those medium tyres. He's now put the hards on. And there was definitely some damage as well. I think Mr. Pop got front wing damage in that, so his two-stop strategy not exactly worked out for him, as Daniel now gets back ahead of War on Powell. So Thomas has probably actually come out pretty good from all that, and Toxic Tomato as well, because he managed to gain a second ahead of those at the back.
Yeah, exactly. As Thomas is now on the mediums, I don't know if he can stretch it, but if he does that, he pull out a masterclass as well. If he done that.
Yeah, it's going to be close, I think, towards the end, as Josh comes out now outside of the points, and Mr. Pop down in last place. Great racing for pretty much the first 2/3 of that lap. It was just all got a bit too close once Thomas got involved through turns 11, 12 and 13, and Mr. Pop and Josh ended up coming off worse. So in the lead now it is XL Ryan, and I'm surprised Lewis could only get 10 laps out of his medium tyres, to be honest.
Yeah, me too actually. I would supposed to be going longer. That's what I expected.
Yeah, maybe he feels he couldn't stretch them long enough to go onto the soft, but I still think you'd want to do at least 12, 13, 14 laps on those mediums, because these hards aren't going to exactly be in the best condition towards the end of the race. So XL Lion and extra rotation staying out. Toxic Tomato, the leader of those who's pitted, and he just cruises past extra rotation there. I think he just pretty much put the handbrake on to let him by. So that's Toxic Tomato up into second position, and be interested to see how long Baraka Cap can go as well, because he was the only driver who started on those hard tyres.
Yeah, exactly. As he spun as well when that accident happened with Mr. Pop, Thomas and Josh.
Yeah, he's finding himself under pressure now. Paul trying to go round the outside, just clips.
Okay, here comes Daniel.
Baraka Cap there, and that's giving Daniel maybe a chance to get down the inside. This is another one where it's all getting very close. Westy and Bolin just on the back of this as well. So Babacar Cap a bit of a cork in the bottle now on his older tyres, and I think Bolin's managed to send one down the inside of Westy there. Hopefully this doesn't end up in a collision like we saw the last one, as Thomas has now actually managed to make his way past extra rotation up ahead.
Look
so
at this, a 5-man train.
Tomato first. Yeah, we've got a big train here, and you can see Lewis is up far behind. Josh not too far off as well. Babacar Cap though doing a good job holding on for now, so maybe going to give Warm on pole. He's got to try and get past, because obviously he's getting held up, and if he wants something good from this race, Daniel, Westy, Bowling, Lewis, Josh, they'll all be thinking the same thing. As you can see, Babacar Cap, it's not like he's not defending, he's gone very defensive very early on. We're nearly 3 wide down the straight. Daniel's managed to get ahead. Warm on pole trying to get a cutback, and Daniel's just gone straight around the outside of Babacar Cap.
As extra rotation is in the pits now.
Extra rotation in the pit, so that's Daniel got ahead of Babacar Cap. Warm on pole down the inside of the racing point then, and that is a fairly straightforward move for him. He's up into 5th place. I think Westy tapped the back there. Bowen's gone flying over the gravel. That nearly could have ended up in a big spin for him. And you can see now Lewis is right on the back of these. Westy down the inside of Babacar Cap.
Oh,
he gets that position done as Bowling's round again.
Just came in front of Josh.
He's come back out ahead of Josh. I think he just made a bit of contact there as he was trying to get past Babacar Cap, because on the timing screen it said there was a 100ths of a second between them, so that's another spin unfortunately for Bowling. Who knows what might have been for him in this race, but him and Josh will still be looking to obviously recover. They're looking good to get some points in this race, especially once Babacar Cap and XL Ryan pit, and we still don't know if Thomas is going for a 2-stop or 1-stop, although he's definitely pushing pretty hard because he's got that gap to just over a second at this moment in time.
Exactly, as Lewis just passed Babacar Cap on the straight. So with Babacar Cap on his old tyres, it's hard to defend against fresh tyres.
Yeah, especially, he's done 13 laps. It's not too bad for the hard tyres, but that spin as well will have taken a bit of life out of them. As XL Ryan, he's come into the pit, so everyone apart from Babacar Cap has now made their first stop. Toxic Tomato leading, Thomas in second. Them two have got a huge gap now. Back to Daniel in third, Warren Paul fourth, Westy, Lewis, Babacar Cap, Josh, Bowling, who's just actually dropped behind Josh. XL Ryan's come out in 10th, X Rotation 11th, and Mr. Pop's 12th, and Janetsky at the back of the field. He's still enjoying good battles with drivers as he's now trying to get past Mr. Pop XL down the inside into turn 1. Very late on the brakes. Is Mr. Pop able to fight back? Obviously under fresher tyres. Indeed he is. So at least Janetsky's still having fun out there. He's still having plenty of action, even though it looks as though it's going to be hard for him to get any points in this race.
Yeah, exactly. At least he has a lot of fun.
Yeah, so further up the field, where's going to have the close battles at the moment? Josh catching back up to the field. He's now catching up to Babacar Cap with Bowling just behind as well. I mean, now the racing point's going to defend as hard as he can at the moment. Obviously wanting to stretch them tyres, maybe another lap or two for the mediums at the end, because given his pace at the moment, I don't think there's much point going longer than that to try and make the soft work at the end of this race. Is Josh just probably going to wait? Just be patient down into the final corner. Make sure you get the DRS off of that final corner, and I don't think there's anything the Racing Point's going to be able to do here. Not even bothering to defend the inside line. Josh is going to get ahead, and so is Bowling, and Bowling might try and get 2 cars in one here. Is he going to be able to send one down the inside of Josh into turn 1? I don't think the Williams was expecting that. They're still side by side, and there's contact, and Bowling spinning around again. I don't think he'll be too happy about that.
I think he retired on track. That's not a great thing to see.
Yeah, not good to see. Well, hopefully he's a long way off the circuit, so I'm hoping that doesn't cause a safety car, to be honest. And no, it doesn't look like it has. So we're down to just 12 runners. Mr. Pop and Janetsky outside the points at the moment, and Josh, in all of that, because of that contact, is now going to spend another lap stuck behind Babacar Cap. So, but since that spin, things really not going Josh's way, and it looks as though, barring a miracle, it's going to be the first race this season that he doesn't win.
As Thomas is closing up to Toxic Tomato now on his softer tires, of course, on his mediums.
Yeah, on the medium tyres, oh, it was about a second at the DRS detection point. We'll see if he got it. I think it was just ever so slightly behind. So as soon as he closes within a second, that's when this might start getting a bit interesting. Has got 1 lap fresher tyres, but the mediums will wear a lot more. So you'd imagine he has got to try and get past him sooner rather than later. Maybe just to build a gap towards the end of the race, because that is when he will be struggling.
The train is still going on behind Daniel with Juan Paul, Westy, and Lewis involved. The 4-man train.
Yep. Yeah, we've still got this queue at the moment. The gap's hovering around a second, and that is helping to just keep that queue where it is at this moment in time. So Juan Paul and Daniel, obviously they're both looking for their first podium, as is Lewis, as unfortunately Juan Paul picks up another penalty, and I'll check the penalties towards the end of the race to see if that is going to have an effect, because you definitely got to say for Juan Paul, he's picked up 2 now, so that's probably going to cost him a chance. He's gone very deep, and that's a big accident.
What did he do?
That was a strange crash, I must say, and safety car.
Oh, safety car. I don't know what to say, but I think he did that on purpose.
I don't want to say he did it on purpose, but it looked as though he did just... Yeah, to be honest, it just looked like he did that on purpose. I'm not sure if that was frustration that he picked up another penalty or what that was, but what it does mean is we're down to 11 runners, and what we were saying about Janetsky still just fighting at the back of the field, he only needs 1 more retirement, he's going to get into the point, so this is why you shouldn't retire. We're now probably going to see most of the field come into the pits and put the medium tyres on for the rest of the race.
This is really good for Thomas, to be fair. This safety car came out perfect for him.
Oh, what might not be good is that he didn't have a fresh set of mediums left, and he's had to go onto the hard tyres.
Everyone's going in. This is also good for Baraka Cap.
Yeah, it worked out well for Baraka Cap, obviously, because this is his scheduled pit stop, so he's making his one and only pit stop under the safety car, which you are, of course, allowed to do, so he'll be putting mediums on. Worked out bad timing, I must say, for Janetsky, because he'd actually just pitted the lap before Juan Paul crashed, so...
Ryan stayed out.
Yeah, and Ryan staying out. It's worth a shot when you're down at the back of the field, because it's putting him up into 3rd place, so... And his hard tyres are definitely pretty fresh at the moment, so this could be interesting for him. Might be interesting for... Toxic Tomato must be feeling pretty good. I think everyone apart from Ryan and Janetsky did actually pit then, because Ryan had only just pitted and so had Janetsky, so hopefully we'll get the field closing up shortly. It's been a great race for Toxic Tomato. Him and Thomas had actually got away from the front of the field, so it's a shame for them, but it's a great chance for maybe Daniel, Westy, Thomas and a few of these others to maybe get a really good result today that they probably weren't expecting before that accident.
Same for George, now we can catch up again after that spin and that accident with Mr. Pop and Thomas.
Yeah, we'll see now how Josh can do catching up. You'd imagine, no offence to Lewis, but you'd imagine from the pace we've seen so far this season that Josh might be able to get ahead of him. Those up ahead look like incredibly quick drivers. Toxic Tomato will be hoping that Thomas and XL Ryan can just hold up the rest of the field, because that might allow the Mercedes to just get away and get his first win of the season.
Yes, of course. Well, we're still waiting on with Mr. Pop and Chineski to catch up to the queue.
So that means we're going to get at least one more lap of the safety car. We've got 11 runners left. We had Ghosts and Lewis retire in the pit lane. Bowling retired on track after a spin with Josh, and we saw a very strange accident with Juan Paul where it just looked as though he went flat out of the barriers at turn 10, and that brought out the safety car. So on lap 18 it is Toxic Tomato still in the lead from pole position. Thomas still in second as Baraka Cat picks up a severe a time penalty for a severe collision with extra rotation. Thankfully no damage done, and he might be able to get that removed because Codemasters do love giving out penalties under the safety car.
Yeah, exactly. They love to do that.
They do, so obviously it's all going a bit slower now, so no worries whatsoever with these mediums lasting, going a lot slower under the safety car. It was probably just a lap or two early that safety car came out for anyone to maybe risk going on the soft tyres. So it's also a chance for Mr. Pop XL as well. We talked about it's a chance for Josh after his spin. It's a chance for Pop as well because he got front wing damage from that, so he might still be able to pick up a few good points as well.
I think the safety car's coming in this lap, as I suspect.
Yeah, I think we'll get the message. It's usually at the second sector timing point where we usually get the message that the safety car is coming in, and then it'll be up to Toxic Tomato to decide when to go for it. It's usually you see it coming around the final corner, so the entire field has now bunched together. We're hopefully going to get 11 more laps of racing until we find out if Toxic Tomato can become the second winner of this season. Will it be Thomas? Will it be XL Ryan? How far can Josh get up the rest of the field? As there we go, safety car is coming in this lap.
And now Toximano can control the pace.
You can see him just weaving, getting that last bit of heat into his tyres. That might be where some of the hard runners struggle, actually getting heat into their tyres on the restart, especially XL's Ryans, as they're not brand new. They've got a couple of extra laps in. Then Thomas says he's going very slow at this moment in time. Wouldn't be surprised if we see another couple of collisions here under the safety car. It looks like he's gone out of the final corner. Thomas trying to stay with him at this moment in time. Josh has actually got ahead of Baraka Cap, so I'm not sure if that's because the racing point's made a mistake. It doesn't look as though Josh is being forced to give the position back, but we are green once again. Toxic Tomato with that good restart. Thomas, XL Ryan following through as well. Extra rotation trying to get down the inside of Baraka Cap. Mr. Pop just behind as well, so it's not been a good restart from Baraka Cap. Over the curb, nearly a spin. Extra rotation, nearly getting involved, and somehow Mr. Pop and Janetsky managed to get through that without getting damaged or getting collected by the two cars.
Josh really close behind Lewis now.
Yes, Mr. Pop's actually got a 5-second penalty for gaining 2 places. I imagine that was more just taking evasive action to make sure he didn't actually get involved in the crash with Baraka Cap and extra rotation, so that'll be added onto his race time. Josh, as you said, right on the back of Lewis, and Lewis not doing too bad on the back of Westy. No DRS obviously this time around or next time, so lap 21 will be the first time they are able to use it. Not that that's going to concern Toxic Tomato. You can see how much pace advantage the medium tyres have. He's already nearly 2 seconds ahead of Thomas.
That's unreal pace.
Yeah, Thomas actually pulling away from XL Ryan as well, as now got Daniel all behind him in the Alfa Romeo, which basically in real life is Ferrari Junior team, as Josh trying to go in down the inside of Lewis. He's just about going to manage to get that position done, so that is Josh. He was 8th when the safety car, well, after the pit stops in the safety car, he's now up into 6th position, and Lewis not able to make the move back into turn 1. So Josh up to 6th, Westy and Daniel still trying to get past XL Ryan. We could still see Josh on the podium here, despite the spin that he's had, maybe even getting up into 2nd place ahead of Thomas, because you can see there's a long queue of cars behind the Alfa Tauri at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. There's a one long train from P2 to P8.
Yeah, long train from P2 to P8, as you said at the moment. Toxic Tomato's not got that to worry about. He's nearly 3 seconds ahead, and Daniel especially, he's got to think about getting ahead of XL Ryan and getting onto the back of Thomas, because the longer he's in this train, the harder it's going to get ahead of these two on the harder tyres, especially next time around when Ryan will possibly have DRS off the back of Thomas. So still not able to do anything. Josh closing up to Westy. It's all getting incredibly close between these guys. We know Josh is very quick actually down this back straight into the final corner. We've seen him do a move into there a couple of times this race. Is he able to catch Westy out? He's closing ever so slightly, but I don't think he is going to be close enough. I don't think Daniel's close enough to the back of Ryan either. But Toxic Tomatoes had an absolutely perfect restart, fastest lap again. He's got that gap up to nearly 4 seconds. It's going to be closer to see who gets second position, because I imagine now that they've got DRS, Daniel should be able to get past XL Ryan. As you can see, Mr. Pop getting very close, trying to go round the outside of Lewis at the moment, but Lewis able to hold on for 7th position.
That's Josh now on the back of Westy. He's coming alongside him.
Yeah.
Into turn 4.
Is Josh able to go down the inside? Just about, and it looks like they've got the Ferrari and the Alfa Romeo battling up ahead as well. So Josh has got ahead of Westy, but Daniel's still not managed to get ahead of XL Ryan. This is obviously good news for Toxic Tomato. We said good news for Thomas as well, because he's managed to get more than a second ahead. So despite not having any fresh medium tyres left, that might have cost him a chance of a win. He's still looking good for second, because that gap is growing back to Ryan.
Let's see if Daniel can pass Ryan now. A little bit too far away.
Yeah, it's not really a long enough straight that, unless you're right on the back of the car ahead on the way in. Mr. Pop is going to try and go all the way around the outside at turn 13 on Lewis. That's not, we've already seen it go horrifically wrong earlier on, and Lewis just about manages to hold on for now, but all this battling will probably lead to the pair of them dropping off the front of the field. Now Daniel is a lot closer to Ryan, and he's going to have the DRS down the pit straight where you want to have it for the main overtaking opportunity. You can see Ryan going defensive incredibly early. I'd say he's left just about the car's width though on the inside. Daniel decides he's going all the way around the outside anyway, and he's ahead before the braking zone there. Daniel finally, I'm sure he thinks, up into 3rd place. Now he's going to try and get ahead of Thomas, and Ryan, he has to defend from Josh.
Watch Josh now behind Ryan. Really close to the back of him.
Yeah, he is really close indeed. He's definitely fighting his way up. It still wouldn't surprise me if Josh manages to get a podium. We'll now see how Daniel does catch it up to Thomas, see if he can get back within that 1 second. So I think as soon as he gets in DRS range, it will be hard maybe for Thomas to defend. We've seen that down the main straight. Josh just not getting ahead. You can see he's already dropped back around a second back to Daniel, but this is how close you need to be. But obviously now Ryan's got DRS as well, just making it ever so slightly harder down this straight. So again, probably going to have to wait until the pit straight like Daniel did.
Yeah, especially with Josh, that's so low on ERS now. So he can't use his overtake actually, because it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Oh, he just got a penalty.
Yeah, we saw that earlier on. Yeah, he just took too much curve there, got a penalty. Mr. Pop behind has managed to get ahead of Lewis, or the Mercedes is looking as though he might just think about a move into the final corner, so he's gone back down the inside, and I believe he will get DRS down the pit straight. So a bit of a double whammy there for Pop XL, as Josh actually didn't have the best final corner there, and like you said, he's got no ERS, he can't defend, and Westy's just gone straight past him. That battling's given Ryan a bit of breathing space actually in 4th place. It does look like staying out for him is definitely going to gain him a couple of positions compared to where he was. His extra rotation, I just saw him in the background, went wildly off the track there. In the Williams, manages to get back on. Thomas has picked up a penalty. He's pushing hard because he knows Daniel is closing up to the back of him. And Josh, we said this earlier on, he probably needs to save a bit of ERS because we know he's incredibly quick, but he's still there. He had nothing to attack with and nothing to defend with.
That penalty of Thomas will hurt him a lot, because Daniel, Ryan, Westy don't have a penalty, but they can still get a penalty though in these last 6 laps.
Yeah, it is still very possible to get a penalty. So Josh, he'll be hoping that he can actually get away from these guys, but that's easier said than done. Obviously, with the DRS trains around here, we haven't really spoke about the leader for the last lap, but Toxic Tomato's now got that gap up to 5 seconds, so it looks like being another pole to flag victory this season. But it's been a very exciting race nonetheless. Daniel is now just about within a second of Thomas, so as soon as he gets within a second he will obviously have DRS. Ryan might be a bit of a sitting duck here down the main straight. Westy very close to the back of him. Ryan making a late move to defend there. Westy decides, I'll just go around the outside anyway, gets ahead before the braking zone. Nothing Ryan can do, so that is Verhaas up into 4th position. Josh as well getting very close to the back of Ryan. I think this is going to be straightforward for him. The Williams gets ahead of the Ferrari, who's lost 2 places in the space of 2 straights.
Yeah, those hard tires are just starting a little bit to wear now, but not a lot, but But still, they're a bit slower now compared to the mediums.
Yeah, you would expect them to be a bit slower, but maybe in the last lap or two, once those mediums start wearing, it might come back to him. So he just needs to hang on to these guys now that he's got Lewis and Mr. Pop behind, and Josh will be trying to get ahead of Westy this lap or next lap, because Westy obviously won't have DRS. Thomas, though, he's doing a great job on these hard tyres, because Daniel isn't closing up as much as I thought he would have done.
Yeah, as I said, the medium tires are starting to wear down a little bit, as was Daniel was fighting like a few laps ago. His tires started to wear.
Yeah, you like to see on this lap, Thomas has only by a couple of tenths of a second caught up to Toxic Tomato, so it won't be enough really to put the Mercedes under threat for the win, but because Thomas has that penalty, and I'll quickly check the penalty situation. Toxic Tomato has none. Thomas actually has 6 seconds worth of penalties. Daniel doesn't have any penalties yet. Josh, we've seen get the 3 seconds, as Westy, he also doesn't have a penalty. So that's the penalties for the top 5. So Thomas really needs to actually get away here, because he could end up having Westy, possibly even Lewis, getting ahead of him.
Yeah, as Joshy just overtook Westy on the straight, same for Lewis overtook Mr. Pop on the straight, who's now side by side with Extra Ryan.
Yeah, he's got ahead as well, so Lewis and Mr. Pop getting ahead of XL Ryan. So again, you losing 2 places in 2 corners, and Janetsky, he's just quietly hanging back ever so slightly, so maybe he'll be able to actually get an 8th position in this race, which I'm sure he wouldn't have expected after that first lap incident. Daniel has closed into DRS range of Thomas, and now it's going to get a bit harder for the AlphaTauri to defend. It's going to be hard for Josh as well down the pit straight now that Westy's got the DRS. This is going to be a battle that goes right to the end, because they have got away from Lewis and Mr. Port ever so slightly. The battling seems to be breaking off into groups of 2 at the moment. You've got Thomas and Daniel, Josh and Westy, and Lewis and Pop, and I think shortly you're going to have Ryan and Janetsky close together.
Yeah, exactly. There's just groups who are battling with each other.
They're just battling and seeing what they can do at the moment. So Daniel is in DRS range of Thomas. 4 laps to go. He's not going to be close enough to have a go. Likewise with Westy and Josh. Mr. Pop, though, he might think it's worth a pop on Lewis at the moment. Down the inside goes the Racing Point into turn 1. And that is a great move from him. Lewis will have DRS, though, on the run down towards turn 4, but Pop got in a good run there coming through 3, and I don't think Lewis is going to be able to. In fact, no, Mr. Pop was behind at the detection point, so he got DRS. He's up into 6th place. So for both him and Josh who got involved in that accident, it's been a good recovery so far.
Yeah, as Daniel's still 6 tenths behind Thomas now, as he's still closing up just a little bit lap by lap.
Yeah, I wonder if he's asked Jeff about the penalties, because if he has, he should know that Josh behind has a penalty and that Thomas has a penalty as well. So all Daniel really has to do is keep it clean. He should be able to get 2nd place, which would actually be, I believe, 1st points of the season for Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, exactly. As you said that, I just realised as well.
I just realised as well, actually, Mercedes haven't got any points, so they're looking very good at the moment in 1st and 7th position at the moment. Now that Mr. Pop's just beginning to try and break away ever so slightly from Lewis. 3 laps to go then. Toxic Tomato with a 4.6 second lead. Daniel just keeping that gap at around half a second at the moment to Thomas, who with those penalties might end up dropping a place. Extra rotations picked up a penalty. Josh, his teammate, has one as well, so that'd be enough to drop in behind Westy and at this moment in time. But Pop does have a penalty as Baraka Cap's coming into the pits. He's right at the back of the field. I think he's just going to get himself the fastest lap here.
Daniel still. Oh, Westy got a penalty now. That's really crucial.
Yeah, it is, because obviously, because Josh has a penalty as well, he would have managed to finish ahead. As Lewis, I was just caught there. Lewis nearly went off the circuit completely, coming through 6 and 7. He's held on to it pretty well, but that's allowed Mr. Pop to just break away ever so slightly. So Westy, he would have finished ahead of, possibly even finished ahead of Thomas, so might have even been on for a podium before that penalty. Now it's going to be borderline with Thomas, and obviously needs to pass Josh on track. So got to say, it still looks as though Josh can pick up a podium from this race. Still been a very good, consistent start from the season. And got to say, with his main rivals in the championship at the moment, Bowling not scoring any points. Mr. Pop, who's third, the Westie, who's second in the championship, he's behind him at the moment. It still looks like being a good race for Josh. Should get a podium from this with 2 laps to go. I'm sure he wants to try and get the podium out on track, and I'm sure Daniel wants to get the podium out, get second place out on track as well. He's closing up to Thomas. Do you think he's going to go for the move on the final couple of laps, knowing that he doesn't need to?
Well, I think he wants to overtake him, but I think he knows he has a penalty. Still, he wants to cross the line in P2 instead of getting it on penalties.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes for them. It's further back, it's looking like it's all getting very close between Lewis, Ryan and Janetsky then for 7th, 8th and 9th place. Lewis dropping back slightly after that mistake, and Janetsky showing some decent pace. Could be a driver who's just waiting for an incident-free race. Lost part of his front wing last time around and don't manage to get a 5th place in Vietnam despite that. But all out in front, about to say Toxic Tomatoes just driven the perfect race, not really made any mistakes. Saved his ERS early on in the race, so Josh couldn't really have any chance of overtaking him. And with 1 lap to go, it looks like he's going to get his first points and first win of the season.
Yes, first win in INL as well.
Yeah, first win in INL. I'm sure he'll be happy with that, and maybe to kick-start his championship challenge. He's just about to come on to the final lap then. Daniel closing ever so slightly to Thomas. In fact, it looks like maybe Thomas has just pulled out a bit more of a gap on this lap, so that's probably second place on track for Thomas, although he really needs to close up a bit more of a gap, because as things stand at the moment, him and Westie are going to be very close for that 4th position towards the finish line. So Toxic Tomato leading, Thomas second, Daniel third. Josh will get promoted up to 3rd on penalties. Mr. Pops a bit lonely in 6th at the moment as Lewis, Ryan and Janetsky. This might be the final chance really to get a move done. Ryan trying to go past Lewis at the moment. Janetsky maybe just waiting to see if there's an incident, seeing if he can throw his nose up the inside, but they all managed to get it barely clean through there at this moment in time. It was worth trying something different for Ryan. He probably wouldn't have finished any higher than this anyways. Janetsky's actually gone down the inside of the hairpin.
And he spun.
Yeah, he's spun round. An extra rotation might be able to get ahead of him as well. It's going to be pretty close, seeing as Janetsky's tyres have overheated. Baraka Cap on for the fastest lap again, but obviously he's outside the top 10, so won't make a difference for him, but still good. At least showing that he's had some decent pace on the soft tyres. It's just those hard tyres at the race he really struggled with and was involved in that incident with extra rotation on the restart of this race. But it's coming around the final corner then. Toxic Tomato, he's going to cross the line to take his first ever win here at INL. Toxic Tomato wins in Bahrain. Thomas will cross the line in 2nd place. He'll lose that to Daniel. Josh just sneaking ahead of Thomas on the podium. You can see how close it is between Thomas, Westie, Lewis, Jump and Excel Vayan jumping ahead of Mr. Pop Excel, who got that 5-second corner cutting penalty. Janetsky comes home in 9th, an extra rotation, so coming into the pits to finish his race in 10th.
Done Michael Schumacher there.
Yeah, back in the 90s, no extra rotation. You can see Williams weren't expecting it, so he's just driving through. Great job from Thomas nearly to get on the podium. 72 thousandths of a second. It's actually Josh who managed to recover to 3rd place, and that means he will have actually extended his lead in the championship, with Josh taking 3rd place and Westie finishing in 5th position. It means Josh is now 25 points ahead, so he's not won today, but he'll still be happy with his 3rd place.
And driver of the day has been given to Lewis from the game.
So the game's given Lewis driver of the day. Seeing as you're the making a appearance in the comments box, who's your driver of the day then?
For me, it was it's got to be Tomato, Toxic Tomato. He drove such a good race, just dominant in front. Yeah, he had the pace over all drivers.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that. I've got to say I'd agree with you. Toxic Tomato, an absolutely fantastic job from him to take the victory. Great result for Daniel as well in second, and Josh rounding out the podium places despite that spin. I think the safety car definitely helped a few of these drivers catch back up. Thomas missing out on a podium in his first race of the season because of penalties. He dropped to fourth. Westy, he could have had a podium, but he got a late penalty as well. He finishes fifth. Lewis kept it clean, gained 8 places to get 6th. Likewise with Ryan, he went up 6 places, only made the one stop to get 7th place. Mr. Pop XL is in 8th. Janetsky, this shows you just carry on going and you can still pick up points. He finished 9th. Extra rotation was 10th. Barakaka 11th with the fastest lap. And Boron Powell, Bowling, and both Red Balls of Lewis and Ghost, the retirements. And we said before the race, this might be the time when we see someone different from Josh win. Like we both said, great performance from Toxic Tomato.
Yeah, exactly. Done a stunning job today. Just driving in front and keep a consistent pace. And that's how he won.
Yeah, just did absolutely fantastic for him. Had the clean pace, managed to pull away after the safety car came back in as well. It was probably useful for him that Thomas and Ryan were on the hard tyres because they couldn't keep up, and that allowed him to build the gap. That is it then from round 3 of the INL season. Apologies for the technical issues. I will try to get to the bottom of those before the start of the next race, where we actually head to another new track on F1 2020. We had Vietnam last time out. We've got Zandvoort next week. Is that a track you're looking forward to?
I'm actually looking forward to it. It's my home race as well, so I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've definitely got to say it's a track I've enjoyed driving around when I've had a few chances on this game. Will we maybe see another different winner, or will it be Toxic Tomato or Josh who carry on their fantastic start of the season? Cheers from the crew for streaming and joining me in the comms box today.
No problem, man. It was enjoying. I enjoyed it a lot. So
yeah, it was a very, very good race. Cheers all you guys for watching as well. If you do want some more INL action, though, you can still tune in to all of the other races. Division 2 is just underway at the moment. They're on lap 5, and I think Division 3 is actually just about heading towards the end. They've got 1 lap to go if you want to head for seeing that action. But from myself and my crew, we will see you next time around for the Dutch Grand Prix. Goodbye.
Goodbye.